Hello, hello, scrapping friends. It's Jen. I am working on a double page layout today, and I just thought I'd film the process, kind of go through what I've got going on with you guys. Nothing's too fancy about this, just kind of a quick layout. I've got a ton of pictures from a trip we took to Colorado, and I don't want to make every layout super detailed, but I want them to be cute and interesting. And I found, for the set of photos that I'm working with today are from the Denver Aquarium, and I just have a few pictures that I picked out that I want to showcase. And I found this cute Bow Bunny paper from their Barefoot and Bliss collection at my local scrapbook store. And I just loved the colors. The blues and the oranges, for some reason, just caught my eye. And especially this paper, which looks like fish scales. And again, it's from that same collection. But there's a bright colored print on the back. I don't think I'm going to incorporate this into my page. I think I'm going to keep it pretty simple with the fish scales and then the detailed die cut sheet. And when I got home, I went through my stash and I found some Basil Swiss dot cardstock that oh my gosh, I think I've had this forever, that I'm going to use as a base. And then accent colors, I found some navy blue, green, and white cardstock. And I've already mounted my photos, but I went through first to see what color I wanted to mat them with. And when I used the white, it seemed to stand out a little bit too much on the page, and the navy just seemed to be a better choice. I really want the photo to be the focus, not the mounting frame, and I also want the fish to stay as something that you want to look at. So the white just seemed a little too distracting, so I chose to mat my photos in navy. Okay, so what I'm thinking, I'm also going to use one of my favorite colors of ink, like one of those surprising colors, is Mango Mai Tai from Quick Coat's Powder Puff ink pads. So I love these. And the reason why I'm going to use this chalk is to define the edge of the die cut a little bit. So here's what I'm thinking how I'm going to set up the page. Let me move some of this out of the way. And I'm trying a new camera angle too, so it's not quite directly on top, but it's a little easier to work this way while filming. So okay, I'm thinking for the base of the double page spread, we would have the Swiss Dots cardstock, and then the die cut on the left side. I thought about trimming this, which is really a neat thing to do if you're working with a die cut shape, just to make it a little more interesting. I could trim it here and showcase my one photo on this side, which means I'd have to cover up essentially one of the fish. And then I'm going to take the fish scales paper and cut it at about a 4-inch size and do basically a belly band across the page. So the reason why I want to use the Mango Mai Tai is so that the edge of the die cut does not disappear into the fish scale paper, because it's similar colors. If I use, and this is kind of a dark orange, if I use that, I'm hoping it will define the edge a little bit more. And remember, I'm only going to have about a 4-inch strip, so you will certainly see the contrast of the orange on the blue. If I kept it like this, I was going to then have my photos kind of around this fish paper, maybe a little bit. I love this shark, but I couldn't figure out really how to make them fit without cropping them too much, so I basically ruled that splitting the die cut shape out. So I think I'm going to keep it simple because of the photos that I have to work with. Keep that on the left page. I'll still do the belly band, so I'll still have to define the edge, really showcasing this one photo and the cute paper. And then having these photos just in a symmetrical arrangement to, once again, keep it super simple, and then I can put my title right here between the two layers of photos. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do, and then I'm going to add some embellishments that I'll probably cut with my Cricut. I haven't decided on that yet. I thought I'd get the page set up and the title and then figure out what embellishments I wanted to use. The nice thing about this detailed paper is it already has some fish on it, so I don't need too many other elements, but I would like to bring something else out. From a journaling standpoint, I thought perhaps I could move this up a little and put some strips over here. So again, keeping the page simple because we had so many different things that we did when we were in Colorado, and I've got a lot of pages to scrap. So I want it to be cute, but I don't want to spend hours and hours on the page. So I'm going to go ahead and get some of this adhered down, and then I'll meet you back here for the next steps. Okay guys, I don't have my page adhered together yet because I decided to make the fish scale strip a little bit narrower so that it's only passing through this thin curve. But you can see how I inked the edges, and that allows it to stand out a little bit more against the pattern paper. But if I made this thicker, it was just too much. And then I decided I wanted to pick up the green color that appears in some of these dots and on the fish, because it is very subtle in this page, and I think it will help the to pull the green out if I add a border. So I decided to use my new toy, which is the Creative Memories Border Punch, and I thought I'd show you how it works because it's really cool. But just to add a little bit of that green color on the blue, I think is going to help that fish scale paper really pop. Anyway, it's going to be pretty much hidden, but this is a cute scalloped edge, and I just love this new border maker system. When they came out with it and I saw a video, I had to have it. But I was in Hobby Lobby the other day, and there is a brand, I don't know if it's EK Success, I can't remember, but somebody has a tool out that looks almost identical to this one, so I'm assuming it works the same way. You get a cartridge, which has different border options available. So this is the scallop, and you put your paper in this guide tool and you snap it down, and it locks your paper into place. So then this blue part wraps around the underneath and closes like that. So your paper is perfectly placed. And what I love about this is you get the border perfectly situated across your page. And I have trouble sometimes with punches getting an even distribution of the shape or whatever the design is. Even if I hold it upside down or move it, it seems like, you know, I'll get maybe to here and it's perfect, and then I screw up right at the end and waste my paper. So this is really good for people who are challenged with punches because there's a guide. So this is actually locked in to a groove underneath, and once I do the first punch, I pull it until it locks in for me to the next groove. And you keep working your way down. And can you hear it clicking each time? So your border ends up perfect. So no alignment issues or anything like that. Anyway, I really think this tool's great. The only limitation is there's only about 4 blades right now, or 4 border edges, I guess, or cartridges, I'm sorry, that are available for this right now. But hopefully they'll come out with more. And the one I saw in Hobby Lobby, I might actually buy one of the cartridges because it seriously looks like exactly the same tool, and I'm wondering if the cartridges are interchangeable. So maybe I'll try and do that, and then I'll let you guys know. So anyway, I thought what I would do is have this border, well, I need to trim this one, have the scallop border appear both above and below the fish scale paper. And again, just to add a little pop of color, a lot of it's going to be covered up, but sometimes just a little subtle hint of color adds that extra oomph to a page that you're looking for. So just wanted to show the new tool. So if you have issues with punches, that's a really good option. Okay, back in a minute. Okay, I've got everything adhered down, and I made a little bit of a change to my original plan. On the left side of the page, when I put the shape die cut on top of the belly band, it totally disappeared. You could hardly see any of it because the die cut shape is very large. It's almost a full 12 inches. I wish companies would make these more like an 11-inch size so that you could have a nice border on the outside. But in any case, what I did is I went and cut a slit on the die cut right here with just a X-Acto knife, and I was able to tuck the border or the belly band through the slit on each side. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that. Just to give it a little more interest, and the green scallop border helps allow that to stand out a little. So it's not perfect. I wish that the fish scales came in a different color, but they only came in orange, which was the same color as the outside. So I think the green helps separate the two, and it's still very significant on the right side of the page, which is really what I wanted. So you can see the fish scales. And similarly, the photos were covering up a lot of that green border. So I decided to do something just a little bit different and tuck my photos underneath the scallop border, and that's not something I usually do. So just something that's a little different and interesting, and it's still going to allow me to put a title here. Another thing that I'm trying to do on my pages is not to have boring titles. Typically, the title for a page like this would be Denver Aquarium, which is going to be so obvious because it's going in the album with all of the other Denver pictures. We've got the aquarium sign right there, so maybe you wouldn't know necessarily it's Denver unless you're looking through the whole album, but I'm not feeling the need to put Denver Aquarium on the page. I think that would just be far too boring. So I looked in some of my Cricut cartridges and I found Four-Legged Friends, which is a Lite cartridge. This was one of those that was released at Walmart, and it's called Four-Legged Friends, but it has fish and things on here, birds, fish, and snakes that don't have legs. But anyway, one of the titles that they've got, let's see if I can find it, is Just Keep Swimming. And I thought that would be cute because, you know, all of these fish that are in this aquarium just keep swimming. And so I thought that would make a cute title. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out in navy blue, green, and I'm going to try and find like an orangish yellow color that will match as well, because the title contemplates 3 colors. They use a light blue, a green, and a brown, so I'm just going to match the colors to my page. No shadow option, which I really like to have, but that's okay. I think the color contrast will be sufficient here. So I'm going to get this cut out and I'll be right back. Oh my goodness, guys, I just averted a major disaster with this page. The good news is, the end result is I got the cut, yay, that I was looking to get. You have no idea how much effort went into this. When I first cut out the title, I realized my cartridge was defective. If you look, the S doesn't cut out all the way, and neither did the K. My P was chopped up, and so was the bottom of this M, almost like it was trying to cut the holes for the S and the K where the M and the P were, and it just was a mess. And I cut it with my E2, and then I thought maybe it was my new machine, so I cut it again with my Imagine, and it did the same thing. And I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to make do, and I actually adhered this down, and I hand cut a little piece of blue paper to kind of fix in there, and I thought, well, I'll just live with the S and the K. And of course, it looked very sad on the page, and then I had selected this orange color, which blended in too much anyway. So I was so sad, and I posted out on the Cricut Circle message board to ask if anyone else had this issue, because I did a Google search and I saw some clean cuts of it, and someone posted back that they checked their cartridge had the same error, it was doing the same thing, but they checked the Gypsy version of it, and I guess ProvoCraft figured out that there was a defect in the design, and the Gypsy had the cut correct. So I thought, awesome, I have a Gypsy. I hardly ever use my Gypsy, but I thought I'd get it out. Well, of course, my Gypsy and my E2 would not work together, and I figured I had to update things. So, oh my gosh, it took me, first of all, I updated the E2, and then it still didn't work. So then I updated the Gypsy, which I hadn't updated it in forever. So the update took forever. But then after about like an hour and a half, I realized that my Gypsy was frozen and locked up, so I started Googling again, and I was almost in tears thinking I was going to have to send not only this cartridge back, but the Gypsy back too, because it wouldn't shut off, and I was, you know, doing everything that people were suggesting, trying to do a reset and a hard shutdown, and anyway, nothing worked. So I put it down on the counter, and I was just looking at it, trying to contemplate my next new move, and all of a sudden it turned off on its own. It wouldn't turn off, it just kind of was frozen and said it was connected. So anyway, long story short, when I turned it back on, it worked, and I got the cut that I wanted. I switched out the orange color for blue, and so I'm very happy with how my title worked out, although it was took way more effort than I anticipated, so I'm not going to put more die cuts on this page. But anyway, the other thing that I did was add one of the tickets for the aquarium. I just tucked it behind this photo, and I'm not going to do other die cuts because I'm just, I can't look at any more of my machinery right now. I spent too much time and effort just getting that title, so I'm fine with it, and I like the fish on this page. I added some stickles, so the last thing I need to do is some kind of journaling element. Maybe I'll end up working in a die cut, who knows, but that'll be the next step, so I'll be back with the finished pages next. Thanks. Okay, and here is the finished 2-page layout. to complete the left side, I just added a journal box using a Spellbinders template and a tiny punch I had of little miniature fish. And again, the ticket tucked behind the photo and some stickles on the bubbles. And since the page was already pretty decorative, there wasn't much that you had to do with it to finish it off. And again, I didn't want to spend a ton of time on this page. I wanted it to be cute, but I've got a lot of pages to scrap from this trip, so I didn't want to spend an enormous amount of time, even though this title took me a lot longer than I anticipated. But that's okay. It turned out like I wanted, and I like having the title just keep swimming instead of something boring like Denver Aquarium. So anyway, I'm happy with how it turned out. I'll try and scan it and get it up on my blog in the next day or so. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.